Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm at Mission Fitness Center, a great gym here in Alhambra, California. And the focus of today's video is addressing smart training techniques. This means covering everything from drop sets, strip sets, and a ton of other shocking principles. 10 altogether. You can get all of them on my website. There's a free training guide, 10 steps to success. You can download it for free. It covers all of these training techniques as well as nutrition, training, and motivational ways to help get you to your goal. Finally, I've teamed up with Koios. They're a smart beverage company. This is really about nootropics. Help me kick those energy drink addictions I'd always be drinking when I'm working at the computer. 20 calories, MCT oils, electrolytes. These guys are giving us 5 free 6-packs to give away. So here's what I want you to do. Watch the entire video, and at the end, I'll set you a challenge. Pick one exercise, film yourself, any one of these smart training techniques, tag me, tag these guys. We'll pick out 5 winners and I'll send you some free goodies as well. All right, so let's kick things off with the first of our 10 smart training techniques, and I think we'll start with squats. So I'll see you over there. All right, so the first of our 10 smart training techniques is gonna be straight sets. And for that, I'm gonna demonstrate on the barbell squat. I've already done a little warm up, already feeling good in my joints, knees, ankles, and hips. So I'm gonna jump in and demonstrate how I would use a straight set to really achieve the intensity, the maximum that I'm going for on this weight. Now, what we're gonna be looking at is choosing a weight that based on our kind of perceived exertion, let's say our rep limit is 10 reps, I wanna make sure that I'm comfortable for those 9, 10th, maybe I can get that 11th or 12th rep, but I'm gonna stop at 10. So this is a real good starting point, and all of these other 9 training techniques, you'll be able to see how you can employ them into the barbell squat or incorporate them in practically any other exercise. All right, that one felt good. So straight sets, what is there to talk about straight sets? Well, it's really the foundation of where we're gonna take things. I'm saying 10 reps, all out, great form, good technique. Listen, by a straight set, I mean, if you're aiming for 10 reps and you load up the weights and with proper technique and good form, you're able to just about achieve those 10 reps. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 more left in the tank, 11, 12, but a solid 10, that's what I'm talking about here. Get your 10, 12, 15 reps, whatever that ceiling level is, give it your all for that rep range, and then take a look at these 9 other smart training techniques and see how you feel incorporating them in once you've hit your rep target, whether it be 10, 12, or 15 reps. All right, you ready for the second training principle? Let's move on. All right, so for the second training principle, we're gonna be using a tricep push down. And for this one, it's about a drop set or a strip set. Now, what this means is once you've reached the peak, your threshold for that exercise, you've used up all of the effort performing that exercise, let's say 10 repetitions, we're gonna pause and immediately take about 20 to 30% off of that weight and then continue. So it's not a second or a third set, it's the same set, but you're gonna reach the intensity, drop the weight, and go straight back into it. And for this, I love it on cables and machines just because it's nice and quick. We don't have to take off all of the plates off something like the barbell squat, although you can use it for that too. 9, 10. Now, I had a few more reps left in, but that's really my threshold, so I'm gonna drop the weight down by about 30%. No more and no less, so about a third of the total weight off. I'm gonna jump back in, and I'm gonna aim for about the same repetition. So 8 to 10 reps, that's my target now. But now with this drop set, I'm really gonna emphasize that contraction. So hold that squeeze momentarily at the end of each rep. So just at the end of that drop set, I'm gonna hold that muscle, I'm gonna flex it isometrically. So I'm just tensing that muscle, both arms at the same time for about 10 seconds. This little method, this is great for, I find, bringing out greater muscle separation and conditioning. So if you are getting ready for a competition, a photo shoot, or you're just making some changes and you want to see your body composition start to improve, this kind of technique, especially with something like this exercise, a cable one, drop set, 30% of the weight off, flex at the end, and then you go about the rest of the workout. Now, I would say this real quickly. These techniques, typically I would employ at the end of my working sets. And by that, I mean, if I'm doing 4 sets on here, I'll use my straight set, warm up, intermediate, go heavy, and then that 4th set, I'll incorporate my drop set or a strip set while I'll do multiple drop sets, maybe going all the way down the weight stack at the end. So all of these training principles, think about using them at the end of your exercise, not necessarily at the beginning. Okay, arms are feeling great. Let's have a look at training principle number 3. For smart training tip number 3, this is one of my favorites, a rest pause. And for this, I'm going to demonstrate using the deadlift. Now, the rest pause basically means going as heavy as we can, getting a good 5 to 8 reps minimum, I would say. Then we're going to rest for 20 seconds. This doesn't mean walking around the gym, picking up your phone, going to talk to people. This means rest. Stay focused, stay at the base of the exercise, whatever it is that you're doing. 20 seconds go past, we're gonna pick it back up. We're gonna aim for a good 2 to 3 more repetitions. So allow me to demonstrate first, and I'll give you a little bit more of the training tips and the why about how this shocking principle is such a valuable part of your entire training. So you literally want to keep count, whether you're looking at your phone, you're glancing up at the watch. 20 seconds. Nothing short of that, but not really too much time after. You're not going to feel as fully recovered, but just enough that we can pull out a solid 2 or 3 more reps that we couldn't have got had we stayed with that first set. What I love about this is this allows us to really push our intensity past that envelope. So typically I'll use this shocking principle for many of my big lifts, deadlifts, squats, bench press, but it works just as well on smaller isolated exercises. Barbell curl. If you're getting 8-9 reps on heavy barbell curls, put the weight down, 20 seconds, pick it back up. You'll be surprised at just how good it feels to get those final 2 or 3 more reps. And if we're talking about affecting the type 1, the growth fibers, this is where it works best. So if growth, strength, and muscle mass is really your goal, then you should be incorporating rest pauses several times a week on a lot of the heavier, big multi-joint lifts such as this. All right, where's my drink gone? Let's move on. Have a look at the 4th out of our 10 smart training techniques. What we're looking at here is supersets. Now, this means that we're performing one exercise immediately followed by another exercise, no rest in between. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this with some standing lateral dumbbell raises, the middle deltoid. I'm going to superset this immediately after with a front bar raise that focuses on the front or the anterior deltoid. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't perform an exercise with a different muscle group. I'll often perform bench press and immediately superset that with some wide grip chin-ups. It's a great exercise to stretch out the pectorals as I'm working them during that bench press. So have a look at this demonstration and have a think about which exercises that this might work best on based on your training. Now we're going to go straight into the next exercise, our superset one, without any rest. This kind of shocking principle really does shock the system, and the great thing is you don't need a whole lot of weight to really get up to that point. You'll see with both of these, I'm sticking with 10, maybe 12 repetitions. It's not a whole lot of weight. I can lift heavier, but the intensity, that muscular endurance is getting pushed to its limit. And all of these different training principles or shocking principles will tax the system in a slightly different way, which is great because if you have a set routine like myself, you don't have to be switching from exercises each week. Perform the same basic movements, but just switch up how you perform them. Which of these training principles you employ at the end of your main working sets, and keep track of how you feel after. This one for the shoulders is great. Now let's move on, have a look at our fifth one, circuits, and for this one, it's all about the abdominals. I'll see you over there. Okay, so we are at number 5 of our 10 top shocking principles, and this one we'll be having a look at circuits. Now, you've probably seen me do a lot of these, especially when it comes to concerning abdominals and calves and forearms, and there's good reason for that. Circuits, so one exercise followed by another and another, maybe a few others, then we repeat that circuit 2 or 3 times. I find this really beneficial on slow twitch muscle fibers, especially the abdominals. They reoxygenate quickly. They can withstand just a lot of exercise without rest. Same as calves and forearms. So if you've got a muscle group such as these that you feel is struggling to grow, lacking behind, try incorporating them within a circuit, especially calves. Now we're gonna perform slightly higher repetitions, 20 to 30, and I'm gonna move between 3 different exercises, and typically I'd repeat that 3 times. So I'm gonna demonstrate with abdominals. We're gonna do a high cable rope crunch, some hanging knee lifts, great for the lower section of the abdominals. Then I'll move over and do some decline rotational side to side kettlebells. It's a great thing about circuits. You really don't need, and nor should you, use too much weight. You're not aiming for the upper threshold of how much weight you can lift. It's about working that muscle intensely and keep that intensity going without necessarily using too much weight. So this particular technique is great towards the end of your workout, even after working a particular muscle group. If you're training chest, followed by, let's say, shoulders or triceps, your final exercise for chest could include a circuit, some dumbbell presses, cable flies, and even some parallel bar dips. So you can start to see how we use the fundamental exercises, ones that we're doing week in, week out. We're just switching up how we perform them and which techniques we might add on to the end of each working set. All right, we've got 5 more, and these are 5 great ones, so let's keep it going. For shocking principle number 6, it's all about the assisted spot, or in other words, having a spotter help assist you during your lift. And what better exercise to demonstrate this on than the bench press. Now, this technique can also be incorporated in some other big lifts, in particular the barbell squat, but it needs to be an exercise that your training partner or a spotter can actually assist you with. Performing barbell rows or a deadlift is going to be really hard to spot. So think about the exercise first and make sure as well that the spotter or your training partner is spotting correctly, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. Now, what we're doing here is we build up to the heaviest weight that we can. This is not on our first, second, or third set. This will be our 4th or our final set once we progressively increase the poundages up to the heaviest weight that we can do. So the goal here is that we reach our maximum intensity lifting the heaviest weight we can for a good 5, 7, or 8 reps. And then the job of the spotter is to match our cadence. So even just with fingers, they're helping to ease that bar up, matching the same tempo, the same speed that we're pushing that bar up. So they need to really hover their fingers over as we start to slow down, their hands come in, and they just help match that cadence. They're not lifting the bar fully. That's another training technique that we'll have a look at towards the end. But with this one, it's just about helping you get those final 2 or 3 reps extra by helping to ease that pressure off. Okay, that's where having a spotter like David there really does come in useful. Achieving 5, 6, or 7 reps on your own, using that proper form and technique as good as you can get, we're only going to be able to move as much weight as we can physically move. The benefit of having a spotter just assists us to get those further 2 or 3 more reps. Those are 3 more reps that our body has been able to achieve with that extra assistance. So what that does is it allows us to push the envelope of what we're capable of, get those extra 2 or 3 reps in, pushes the body and works the muscles more intensely than we can do so on our own. I'll tell you what, if I went back down now, even dropped the weight down, mentally, because I've lifted more weight for more repetitions, dropping back on that weight, it just feels lighter. So if you do have a spotter handy, even if it's above and beyond what you might normally do, 5, 10% extra, 2 or 3 more reps, have them assist you so that you can push those reps in that way out a little bit more, and then try dropping the weight back down and doing the same set. You'd be surprised at just how good it feels on the muscles. All right, let's move on. We've got 4 more techniques to take a look at. All right, so what else can I share with you about our training techniques? Well, we've still got a few more left. And number 7 is looking at negatives. And it's exactly what the name sounds like. It's the eccentric phase of the lift. So I'm gonna demonstrate this with a chin up. And by negative, I mean it's, once I'm up at the top, it's me coming back down. Now this is a great technique if you happen to train solo, like I often do. We're not able to use a training partner or a spotter to really lift up and go heavy with the weights, but what we can do is get to our maximum, the most intense weight resistance within that rep range that we're aiming for. And then what we do is we focus on the negatives, the eccentric, the lengthening of the muscle. And there's a number of different ways that you can do this. I'll demonstrate with the chin ups. Essentially what we're doing is using whatever we can to get to the top of that rep. Then we're gonna slow it down for about 4 seconds. So whether you're performing negatives with chin ups or more of a conventional exercise, barbell curls is a great one. You can even allow a slight cheat. Bend the knees, throw that weight up, and then do your best to resist it back down. We're not letting it fall back down, resisting that muscle. So we're about somewhere between 30, 40% stronger on the eccentric. So knowing that, it makes sense to train the concentric portion, the shortening of the muscle, to fatigue, to the point of failure. But what about the eccentric, the lengthening of the muscle? Technique like this, chin ups, barbell curls, and a whole number of other exercises, negating perhaps the big movements such as deadlift, although you can do negatives on a deadlift. That's where you're really going to start to create some more micro tears, some trauma in the muscle. So again, growth, power, size, strength. If that's what you're aiming for, negatives should be a key component within your workouts. All right, we've got 3 more left. Let's keep it moving. For this one, we're looking at partial reps or 21s, a couple of different terms that might be thrown around. Partial reps, as the name suggests, we're only doing a partial of the rep. I'm going to demonstrate this using an easy bar or bicep curl. Now, typically, a repetition is the full range of that muscle being worked. So start, finish, and repeat. What I mean by partial rep is we're only going to perform partial of that repetition. Now the benefit of this is we'll stress a different portion of that muscle being worked. A great example of this is with the preacher bench, where your arms are rested, arms fully extended. If we bring that weight up to about a third, this is a great exercise to really help develop that insertion point of the muscle and can actually help thicken out, add a little bit more mass to the lower portion of the bicep. So you can start to see how all of these different training principles can really come into play. I'm going to demonstrate 21. So it's 3 groups of this partial. Perform the lower portion, the upper portion, and then the full range. I'm going to keep the weight moderately light, but this really does push you, and you really do feel that difference as opposed to doing straight sets, single repetitions. I'll tell you what, it's a lot more intense than even doing a heavier weight and getting those reps up. For starters, you really do feel all of that muscle, the full width and spectrum of that muscle be worked. You also get to learn the nuances of how the muscle is working within the lower third, the upper third, and that full rep. So it's just another technique that you can add into your workout to save yourself from becoming too stagnated with performing the same exercises, not really increasing the reps, doing the same weight. So whether it's partial reps, negatives, assisted spots, or a circuit, you can pretty much incorporate any of these 10 shocking principles into the same exercise. All right, arms are feeling pumped. We're gonna move things down to the legs. We've got 2 more left out of our 10 main shocking principles. Let's take a look. All right, we're almost at the end. Number 9, tempo or cadence. This refers to the time it takes to perform the repetition in its entirety. So the down, the end, and the up, if you think of it. And with this, I'm going to perform a dumbbell stiff-legged deadlift. We're going to slow down the lengthening of the muscle. So the eccentric, I'm going to pause and hold at the end, and then the concentric, the shortening of the muscle as I pull that weight back up, we're going to perform for the same 2 seconds. So a 2-2-2 tempo. Now real quick, if you think of any other exercises that you perform, it's typically 1 minimal pause and then maybe 1 or 2 back down. So that's a tempo cadence of 1 to a 2. We're going to add that hold in the middle. So a 2-2-2, and there's any other number of possibilities that you can do. 2, hold for 1, 4. It's about finding which one works best for you and which you really get the feeling in that muscle being trained. Let me tell you this about slowing down the tempo. Really get to feel the muscle work. Look, we can all move a decent amount of weight. Whether it's this exercise or any others, we tend to rush into it. We tend to allow our egos take over control, and it's about moving the weight for the desired amount of repetitions. What this does is it brings us back down to the core of actually training and working the muscles. So in this instance, 2 seconds down, I'm not simply just flexing at the waist, dropping the weights, and then trying to pull them back up. I'm really letting the muscle control and dictate that speed I'm going down. I'm gonna pause for an isometric hold in the muscle, and then exhale and slowly, concentrically pull that weight back up. It's a very different feeling than simply just doing the exercise. So give this one a try. Barbell curls, chest press, chin ups, any number of exercises. Incorporate a 2-2-2 tempo and see how that feels. All right, we've got 1 more left. Training technique number 10. Let's go take a look at it. Okay, we are at the end, number 10 of our top 10 shocking principles. And this little number right here, not necessarily a shocking principle, but it's a great technique to be able to add into many of the exercises and really give the muscles a very different feeling than they may be used to simply performing this exercise as is. So what we've got set up here is one of these bungee bands, a pull-up band, elastic band, whatever you want to call it. It's a loop. We put one of the bands around the arm of the machine. The other I'm going to loop down with some resistance already in. Now I am using a machine here, and typically this is where I would use them, but as you'll soon find out, bands have a whole number of different interactions and applications within our workout. Everything from putting them around your knees during a chin-up, putting them around machines for isolateral machine movements. You can even put one either side of a barbell if they've got hooks at the bottom for barbell squats. So keep that in mind. Next time you go to the gym and you do your workout, think about how many different applications a pull-up band you can add into your routine. So what we're doing here is, typically, no matter how much weight, if I reach my failure, I'm always gonna have a dead spot with free weights. As I push through, typically a sticking spot around here, when I've got my arm fully extended, I can almost rest the weight at the full length of my arm. Therefore, the resistance changes throughout the duration of the movement there. The band increases the resistance the further and further I push. So my recommendation with this would be, do it without the band, perform your 2 or 3 working sets, progressively building up the weight, maybe add in 1 or 2 training principles within this actual workout, but then at the very end, add your pull-up band onto the end of the bar and see how different it feels as you extend the arm, push, and you get an increasing amount of resistance throughout that full range of motion. Just to demonstrate just how effective that is, I'm gonna take the band and I want you to see it's the same weight, the difference that it has on the muscle now without the band. First of all, it feels a lot easier. It's hard, hard, hard. Sticking point right there becomes easier. Now there's, I could sit here for a few minutes holding that weight out. With the band, that wasn't the case. It was constantly pulling me back. So that's really what you need to know about the pull-up bands. For machines like this, they're fantastic. Even if you're training without many of the machines, think about how you can use them with free weights, with body weighted exercises, even push-ups on the parallel bar dip, allowing you to strap around the knees and help assist your body weight so that you can get a few more repetitions in. All right, that sums up the end of today's video, looking at our top 10 training techniques. All right, you remember at the beginning of this video, I set you a challenge, and that was to look through all of these 10 training principles, pick one, film yourself doing it, and then post it on Instagram, tag me, Rob Richards Fitness. Don't forget about these guys too, Koyos Beverage Corp. I'll include the name within the description. Show us exactly what you do and which of these 10 training principles you find works best for you. Tag me, tag these guys. Within a month of me posting this video, we're gonna pick 5 winners. We'll send you a 6-pack of this nootropic. It's a great electrolyte, stimulant-free drink. And I'll also include a copy of my Ultraline nutrition manuals. Don't forget, tune in next week. We've got some new training and nutritional videos. And as always, follow me on Instagram, Rob Richards Fitness. Check out the stories, the Instagram TV, and a lot of the new posts, daily posts coming for training, nutrition, and just general lifestyle, health, and well-being. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys soon. Take care.